Greetings. We're fortunate to have Greg with us today, a fellow astronomer who has been closely following Comet 12P. He's captured some remarkable images and even created an animation detailing the comet's evolution. Welcome, Greg.
Hey, Glenn. It's great to be here, and I can't wait to share my animation.
That is really interesting. I've seen images of comets before, but this seems really different. Walk us through the process of creating these images and your animation, Greg.
So I started capturing images on the night of July 22nd, and I continued through the 29th. I used the remote eye telescope T24 located in California, and each night I captured a set of 3 or more 180-second images. Now I stacked those images into a single image for each night, and then I applied the same processing to each night's image using Lightroom. This means that any variations you notice in the size or brightness is entirely that of the comet. Unfortunately, we had cloudy skies on 2 nights, but I interpolated the frames from the adjacent nights to fill in those gaps. I used DaVinci Resolve 18.5 to stitch together these images into a movie, and I just used a simple cross dissolve to interpolate between the frames of the images, and I thought it worked really well.
For the uninitiated among us, could you give a brief introduction to what a comet is and what we see in such an image?
Comets are icy bodies from the far reaches of the solar system, and as they near the sun, they heat up and emit gas and dust, forming a coma around them, which is what we're seeing in these images. The coma is just a cloud that orbits along with the comet, but they're normally round and fairly consistent over a week.
Those elongated streaks in the animation, are those stars?
Yes, those are stars. The comet is drifting along slowly. You couldn't see it move if you looked at it in a telescope, but over a 3-minute exposure, it moves enough that it would show up as a blurry streak. But I had the mount track the comet, so the comet stays sharp, but the stars make the short streaks. But also remember that I took 3 or more images each night and then stacked those images so that the comet was always in the middle. So the short star streaks end up being 3 or more streaks long.
Why do the stars appear to jump around randomly?
That's because the comet drifts into another star field each night, so we don't see the same stars each night.
This animation is nothing short of fascinating. I've seen comet images before, but this one seems quite unique.
Yeah, that notch with horns is really unusual. So here's what we know. The comet had a large outburst of 5 magnitudes on the night of July 19th. Now, we can't see the tiny nucleus as it's far away and shrouded by dust and gas cloud. But something dramatic occurred on that tiny nucleus. That notch on the left side of the comet is hard to explain by just considering the geometry alone. In this diagram, the comet is moving to the right. The sun is mostly behind us, but to our right. Think of it as coming from over your right shoulder. If the comet had a tail, it would be pointing mostly away from us. So what's causing this notch? Well, looking at that, it's a mystery. Comets like 12P are believed to rotate very slowly. So what if this comet has a large fountain that stays pointed in one direction just because of the slow rotation? Or maybe the fountain is located at a pole of the comet. So even though the comet rotates, the fountain keeps pointing in the same direction. Either way, this fountain would spew gas and dust that expands outward, but is blocked in the opposite direction from the comet itself, creating a shadow, the notch. I don't have a definitive answer. We'll need to be clever and take data to figure out what's going on. Now, I have no doubt that astronomers will be working on measuring its rotation and testing hypotheses as this comet approaches the sun in the next 6 months. But beyond that notch, the animation shows the coma expanding, and it appears to be expanding like an event, the outburst, rather than continuously being refreshed. So I suspect that the comet will fade in the coming days and weeks.
But will there be more outbursts?
Exactly. We'll be watching.
Truly amazing. It's like a cosmic detective story unfolding right before us.
Yep, it's pretty cool.
Greg, it was wonderful to have this discussion with you. That is an amazing animation.
Thank you, Glenn. It was my pleasure.
Clear skies, everyone.
Hey, you ought to come observe with me sometime on my Getting Out There channel.
Yeah, that'd be fun.